Hey folks, this is Best in Slot and welcome back finally to Prehistoric Kingdom. It's been a long time coming and we'll discuss all that in just a moment. But today we're going to get started on a new park build and it's going to be very much inspired by Jurassic Park. Now, one of the reasons I have not been playing Prehistoric Kingdom is that I've struggled a little bit to find my inspiration. You know, what's the theming going to be? What's the hook of the park going to be? You know, in the way that like Planet Zoo, we've got this Redwood National Park, what was it going to be for Prehistoric Kingdom? And for the longest time I thought, right, I don't want to do a Jurassic Park build because A, it's a little bit cliche, and B, we're going to do it inevitably anyway, and C, it feels a little, I don't know what the word is, not offensive, but you know, a little bit rude in a way to only associate PK with Jurassic Park, and I absolutely don't. But since I haven't had any ideas quite yet, and this is one we were inevitably going to do anyway, we're going to do a Jurassic Park inspired zoo. And when I say Jurassic Park inspired, this is not going to be a one-to-one recreation. Today's video basically is, but the eventual goal is not a one-to-one recreation. We can pick parts from the entirety of the Jurassic Park franchise, from games, from films, from TV shows, from anything to build our habitats, basically. Some parts will be very direct, some parts will be more inspired. We'll have to use different dinosaurs and stuff like that. The Dilophosaurus is on the way relatively soon. We'll definitely do something Dilo inspired there, but you know, there's a lot of dinosaurs in PK that are obviously not in Jurassic Park, and we'd have to come up with something else entirely. So today is very low-key, it's only like an hour or so build. We're just doing the helipad area and the waterfall and that kind of opening sort of stretch. This is like testing the waters, I suppose. It's been a long time since I played the game, had to get used to it again, make sure that folks out there still want to see me play it, yada yada yada. And if all goes well, this will be a new thing going forward and we'll do some slightly more developed builds and I can get your feedback and suggestions as well for what you would like to see going forward. Does that all make sense? Cool. So today, as I say, we are working on the helipad. And you know what was really interesting? And I'm going to hopefully, I'll bring up an image later on, but I was looking at some images from the film and also from the people who've gone to the area and taken photos of the actual waterfall. And the film photos in particular, there are a lot of little details that I never really saw in the film or never really knew existed. We've built recreations of this before in things like Minecraft. And there's just little things I maybe never noticed in the past that I'll point out as we go through this video. But it's really interesting what you notice when you're trying to, because for this I thought, well, we may as well just build it as close as we can, right? I don't need to put my own spin on this. Everyone knows what this looks like. Let's just build a gonna get that freaking thing. We may as well just build the bloody thing relatively as close as we can. It's downscaled a little bit, I would suggest, but we'll see. And there's tons of little things. I thought, oh, wait, I didn't know that was there. Oh, I didn't know that was there. Wait, how does that work? Like, lots of little things that, when you view them, I'm like, I don't even know how that would work. It's kind of like the T-Rex paddock all over again. But anyways, there's our little helipad. Nothing too complex. It's got its little lights and stuff like that. None of it is symmetrical or well-placed. That's why I had to keep moving the bloody thing. But it all came together in the end. So, I mean, even this was the first thing I noticed. I never noticed this in the film. I don't know if you ever see this in the film, but there's like a concrete... well, this isn't it. This is the concrete barrier. So basically, the helipad itself is on like a concrete plinth that kind of descends down into the earth below, which is what I'm building here. That's all. I don't know. Why was that not symmetrical? I still don't know. That's all well and good, but okay, wait. I'm not. Yeah, this bit. So there's actually a small concrete. When you look at the photo of the film set, you can see this small concrete walkway come from the helipad onto the road, basically, and then that has like a angled wall in front of it, and that wall drops down to the left and makes like a little dam in this little river. All these little details that I've genuinely never noticed before. I haven't paid much attention, so that's like a really exciting aspect of this park build for me. Like, we can maybe reevaluate some aspects of Jurassic Park, I guess, or like see things in a new light, and I'm just excited to be playing some Prehistoric Kingdom again. The build didn't take that long, but one of the reasons it didn't take that long is because Prehistoric Kingdom's got fantastic foliage options and, of course, fantastic scaling options for the rocks. Without those, let's say I was doing this in Planet Zoo or something, it would have taken a lot longer just because, well, because of the foliage more than anything else, but still. So I really am trying to match this relatively closely to the film, so the water kind of splays out in front of the helipad. There's a little inlet on the right-hand side. The whole thing is surrounded by rocks, it really is. There's always a lot of info that you don't quite get when watching the film. You have to kind of like study the images inherently, but we end up with some pretty cool stuff. So there's like a rocky little outcrop on this right hand side, and I'm gonna make the woks. I'm gonna make the woks a little wet. I I keep doing baby voices in my videos. Baby voices. I'm gonna make the rocks a little bit wet because they're, you know, because they're wet. Basically, I don't know. So I don't know what else to tell you there, folks. It's maybe a little bit big now that I look at it, but probably comes out a little bit far. This is the only annoying part of the build. This is obviously sped up. It's a time lapse. This takes bloody ages to raise it that high, and it's gonna go like twice as high in just a moment. I'm just kind of testing this out, getting the shape in, as you can see. But it wasn't nearly big enough, so up we go again, and this is just slightly obnoxious to do, as I'm sure comes across. And rather annoyingly, Jurassic Park is filled with landscapes just like this, so this is going to be a fairly consistent part of the build, really. That already to me looks a little, you know, Isla Nublar-y though. This is another thing I wouldn't have really noticed. Behind the helipad towards us, there is like another rocky outcrop area, and a little bit of water in there as well, which we'll see in a second. But just working on the mountain face sort of things, and you'll see why Prehistoric Kingdom's foliage tools are so helpful in a few minutes. But first, rocks. Many beautiful rocks. And, you know, the great thing is you can use the same rock, because this is like the beatiest rock they have. But if you keep scaling it and rotating it, it doesn't even feel like the same rock, you know, it just feels like a big old rocky thing. And there's like a little pool in there, and again, I don't think I ever spotted that in the film, but when you study the image, it is there. There's this little pool of water within the rocks. Anyways, just building up this right hand side. The right hand side, like, there's a lot of very sheer, sharp cliff faces in the area for fairly obvious reasons. There's a waterfall at the back, but the right hand side slopes a little bit harder, so I wanted to get that in. Well, a little bit softer, I suppose. Like, kind of the trees kind of stagger up a little bit more, so I want to get that in there. The waterfall was probably the hardest bit. The waterfall graphic, I'm loath to slight anything about this game, which I know I haven't been playing it, but I do love this game, even if I haven't been playing it. But I don't love the waterfall, if I'm totally honest. It may just be because I'm having to do it at such immense scale, and it isn't translating to that scale that well. But it's a little bit too white, I guess. It's just a bit thick and frothy and white. I'd love like a sheen of water, you know, something a little bit more subtle. Would have been really helpful. But we'll start working on that in a second. Just changing the time of day so I can actually see what on earth is going on. Building up some trees behind there. Obviously, this would be an actual thick hill kind of thing, but we can kind of pretend just by doing the right thing. And try to make a waterfall. You see what I mean? It's very thick. It's very wide and thick and creamy. Shut up. And it just isn't really what I was looking for. It doesn't really look like what it does, but I feel like it should start at the top very thick like that maybe, and then it should, you know, it doesn't have that sheen of like thin transparent water, which is kind of what I was looking for. I'm not going to pretend it's like a huge big deal or anything. Don't get me wrong, there's many more priorities, but I just thought it was worth pointing out. The rock juts out there a little bit on the cliff face, and the water kind of splays around that, which the game actually handled really well just by splitting and using multiple things. I will say this staggers quite well, as in you can use multiple of these to make one giant waterfall really well, because it doesn't fade, but because of the scaling tools, it doesn't necessarily need to do that. You know what I mean? Anyways, so the main waterfall splits over like a ridge in the middle, and then there's a little tiny trickle of water over on the right hand side as well, which you can see down there. I'm trying to get the grassiness correct at the top. This whole area is not one-to-one. It should be rockier to the left, but it's something really nice about just being able to slaver trees on the wall, and it just kind of works. You know, it kind of comes out. And I wanted it to look a little bit wetter, because who doesn't? So using some mud textures and stuff like that, just to kind of give it a little bit of a sheen, basically. Needed a new texture to cover, as you can see, like the walls, the grass. You needed a texture that's not just trees, but like a grass growing sort of thing. And this arrow, I think this is arrowwood. This arrowwood bushing was... Bushing, is that the word I'm going to use? Yes, this arrowwood bushing was the best I had. It was pretty effective actually at it. And the two blend together really nicely to make a big sort of tropical sort of environment. Let's stagger the rock. I might lower that left rock a little bit. I'm going to stagger the rocks up there a little bit though. And it's like making a little diorama almost. It's quite nice actually. It's quite enjoyable. I actually really enjoyed the build, so I'm excited to hopefully do more of this. Obviously it depends how people react, blah blah blah, but expecting lovely things. So again, just doing a bit of the path. We're not doing much else today. Next video should be a little bit longer, a little bit more involved. This is our teaser, shall we say. I'm going to tease all of you. This is where I started noticing more of those details. So I'm trying to put the path in, just trying to find the right sort of texture. And this one I think looks really good, pretty appropriate for the build. And then it's where I noticed this left-hand side. So there's a tree line on the left, but between the tree line and the path is a river. There's literally like a little stream, river sort of thing. We're going to move it a little bit closer in a little while, but I don't think I've ever noticed that in my entire life. I think I've literally never noticed that that was there. So that was kind of like a revelation for me. Oh, one sec. Alexa, cancel alarm. Thank you. So I'm trying to kind of recreate that. And also, Alexa, Alexa, cancel alarm. What are you doing? Ah! Took bloody ages, that. She's getting very sassy. She's just full on ignoring me. Anyways, there's a river on the left, and that's not all there is. There's like a wall, and it drops, and there's like a little dam and everything. I just never knew these things. I don't know how I've never noticed, so I'm trying to recreate that. So basically, I'm just going to put a little wall in front of the this concrete walkway. Really interestingly, because that's there. That's quite small. But then, and I couldn't figure out how all this came together in the film, by the way. But there's also another little bit. We'll see that in a second. We're going to build the dam. So around this point, near the top of the river, there's like a little circular dam thing, and then there's another wall behind that. And somehow that all connects. It's actually quite hard to tell when you look at the image. That all connects to this bit over here, and that's got like a little. That you can see that I've done that small triangular wall. That all connects together like that. It's odd. I don't know how else to put it. I've got like my big reference sheet. And, you know, I might be able to show you my reference sheet, actually, as part of this. I probably can. I'll bring that in a second and show you exactly what it is I'm talking about, so you don't think I'm going utterly crazy. I think what it is that it's... No, I don't know. It looks like there's a little staircase that goes down to the water and then comes back up. It honestly doesn't make much sense to me, but I'll show you guys in a second. You can tell me what you think. If there's one problem I had with trying to do this build, is the game lacks... bushes or like bushy grass or like bigger grasses kind of thing, you know, like mid-level bushy grassy sort of textures. So I really want like big tall grass in this area because that's what it looks like in the film, but there isn't really too much in the game that sort of recreates that kind of feel, so I kind of just went for general large tropical foliage to kind of build up the same sort of vibe as best I could, really. Like so, I'm not necessarily trying to do a one-to-one recreation, so it doesn't really matter, but I just thought, you know, if we can, we'll make it as accurate as we can. This stuff here, I don't know what it is, but that's kind of acting as a bush, basically. It's pretending to be a bush. It's having a lovely time. I might have to change this a little bit now that I look at it more, but it's very confusing. But that's basically about it. I'm not doing much else. We're going to bring this wall forward a little bit. What would we be doing next time is the trail would continue. Might try to build like one of the vehicles as well. That might be an interesting little challenge. Whether we do that or not will determine how much else we do, because that'll be the big part of the video. Obviously we'll hop in game in a second, I'll show you what I mean, but do the vehicle, and then there's the gates too. I'll show you I've got a reference. Okay, there you go. So I'll show you what I mean over here first. So this is the main reference image I was using, and if we look down here, you see what I mean. So there's the rocky bit, there's that little pool of water there at the bottom left, there's the helipad with the lights and the concrete sort of staggered around the outside. And you can see there's a concrete walkway I was on about, and then there's this wall here, and it cuts across, as far as I can tell, the concrete walkway, right? And there's a gap there, and there's a gap there. And that suggests to me that what this is you walk along there, you drop down here, you come along, you come up, and you go left. But that doesn't really make much sense, does it? Why is this I can't figure this out. Why is that blocked off? Why is there a wall going along that angle there? Maybe you walk along here? I don't know. This is why I'm doing this low-key first video, so you guys can talk to me. And this is what I mean. So you can see this little dam here. There's the river on the left-hand side. You can see there's a circular hole in the ground there for the dam. And then it turns into this big... What is this? This whole area is super confusing for me. Feel free to chime in what you think. This bit I can figure out. That bit's fine. But this bit is super confusing. This bit on the right, like right by the path. This bit right here. What are you? Madness. I mean, maybe it just isn't anything. Maybe it was just something temporarily there for this shot of the film, and they moved it out of the way for the next shot. It wouldn't surprise me too much with Jurassic Park. It has a few things kind of like that. There's that little jump out bit, as you can see. There's a image from the waterfall. You can see that splays over the middle there, and then there's a little bit trickling out on the right. So what would we be doing next time is this bit. This is the references I've got. This is mainly from Jurassic Park Aftermath, but also from the film itself. These gates that they drive through on the way to the visitor center, of course. This is really the best. I'm gonna have to get a better reference now that I look at it, but yeah, that's a pretty good one. These gates that they drive through on the way. So that's quite a complex looking mechanism, really, the whole thing. We'll build the entire thing and maybe build the car as well. That could be a video, or we could do something else after that. Maybe have some, like, maybe make this into an exhibit somehow. Like I said, we're not trying to do a one-to-one. I can do an exhibit inspired by this in a way. Either way, very much up to suggestions. We'll hop in game, I'll show you in game. There's not much to see that you haven't already seen, but why not? I'll see you in a sec. So this is what we have so far. Obviously very, very early days in the build, but I think it's quite a nice start. I think it's very demonstrably Jurassic Park. I think the foliage brush in this game is absolutely phenomenal and really did help me bring this to life in a big way. Got all the details there. You can see the little dam there on the left. Let me bring this down. Actually, I'm just going to make some quick changes whilst you lovely folks are here. So the thing that was bugging me as I watched the video, and sometimes you kind of need a bit of distance, you know, you need a little bit of space from your build to pick up on things. Just the shape of this in the middle is bugging me a little bit. I'm going to lower that intensity. The smooth brush in this game is wild, by the way. You really need to be careful with it because it'll just shred things. But I just want to... something more like that. That's absolutely fine. Let's hide that UI again. Yeah, so, I mean, this, I've just kind of stuck that together rather haphazardly. It's not really... it's not great. I'm going to think about it a little bit more, but I don't really know what to do here. I don't know how to... that, I know that looks a little bit awkward, but that is actually there in the film, as we just saw. But then it should cut across here and then come back up or something down there. I just don't know. This makes more sense to me how it's formed here, and that's just part of the, like a handrail or something like that. I don't really bloody know. But I think it's a good start to the build all the same. Pretty happy with it. So what we would do, we'd carry on, maybe just do like a bit of path along here, have the water come around, trees, and then do the gate over there. And you're off out into the world of Jurassic Kingdom, or Prehistoric Jurassic Kingdom. Let's go with Jurassic Kingdom. And maybe we'll do the gate, maybe we'll do a vehicle, who knows. But I'm very much open to suggestions if people like the idea of the build. I know it's a little bit uninspired, I know it's nothing super original, but hopefully I can make it super entertaining. And I just did not have that burst of inspiration. I'm hoping that basically as more objects get added to the game, as we get more building options over time, I'll have more ideas. I didn't just want to build a park. My brain won't let me do it. I need a hook. So I thought inspiration from, not from Jurassic Park, although I imagine that'll be a good chunk of it, but all of it. I'm thinking, you know, like a sauropod habitat with like the high hide from The Lost World Jurassic Park, or maybe a recreation of the scrapped sauropod habitats from that were meant to be in Jurassic World to the sauropod tree thing. Maybe we could do both. You know, there's a lot of things we could take from the franchise and turn into really cool things. So that's where my head's at. That's where the build's at. I'm gonna go. Thank you very much for joining me. Throw me a like down below if you enjoyed the video, and if you do, we'll be back next week and we'll make this a continuous thing. I'm excited about the possibility, and let me know what you think about this weirdo area down here. Thanks for joining me. Cheers, much love as always. Bye bye.
Reaching out.